All right, welcome back. Another episode of Lowdown Sports. I'm Ben. I'm joined by Jake and Dan. And we are here to talk about Super Bowl. We're going to talk a little UCLA basketball. We got Kolo joining us to offer his insights and just, you know, have a little good discussion about what we think on a big weekend for us. Excited to see UCLA take on USC tomorrow night, and also, of course, very excited for this Super Bowl. Too bad none of our teams are in it, but it's gonna be a fun one for sure. Or at least we hope. We hope that for an exciting game. But before that, we want to discuss a huge deal in the baseball world, and that's Trevor Bauer signing with the Dodgers. He gets $102 million over 3 years from the Dodgers, and he has opt-outs after each of the first 2 years. But he's gonna be the highest paid player in MLB history in the 2021 season, and his payroll is higher than just for him is higher than a couple teams combined. It's a pretty crazy deal. And I mean, it's definitely a product of, what can happen in baseball for if you have one guy have a really incredible season. He was a very top level pitcher before last season, but he had that Cy Young performance and he justifies this value for sure. The Dodgers have shown they're willing to spend. They are the team to beat going forward. As a Giants fan, it hurts to see him go there. And it hurts to see an owner that wants to spend on owners that want to spend on their team a lot more than the Giants owners does. But of course, the Dodgers are the team to beat, and this is a really, really nice signing.
I'm blown away by this, but I think to put it in perspective, I think it makes October baseball next October's baseball a really exciting event because we're gonna have some big market teams and big fan base teams that are poised to do well in the playoffs. I'm talking about the Dodgers, of course, with such a stacked rotation. You got Buehler and Bauer up front. You still got Clayton Kershaw, who's more than effective. You got David Price. You got Julio Urias. You've got Dustin May. You got Tony Gonsolin. You've got plenty of options. So the Dodgers have plenty of depth. But let's not forget the Cardinals. They just traded for Nolan Arenado. So when you've got that Nolan Arenado Goldschmidt 3-4 punch, that sounds like an NLCS matchup to me. And don't forget about the Mets getting Lindor. And it seems like the winner of those three are going to be taking on the Yankees in the Fall Classic. So it looks like this is a win for big media, big market teams. But it kind of, as you kind of pointed out, Ben, it kind of isolates the mid-market to small market teams. It kind of pushes them out of the way a bit.
Well, I mean, the small market teams, the fact that Bauer's getting paid more than the Pirates, the Orioles, and the Indians is just, crazy to think about how much money he's getting himself. But yeah, the Dodgers, who already won and were really the best team in baseball last year, I'm pretty sure they won games by an average of 2 runs, and they're the first team to do that in like 50 years. But they have their team, because they're getting Price back, and as you said, they have Bauer, Kershaw, Walker Buehler, Dustin May. Like that is such an incredible, plethora of players. So they're definitely going to be the team to beat. But I just need to point out something. You said the Yankees, they're not a lock in the AL. Chris Sale is coming back. The Red Sox have a shot.
The Red Sox have 0 shots.
The Red Sox have 0
Red
shots.
Sox were the worst team in baseball last year.
They were first of all, COVID. All of their players were either hurt or sick. Don't give it up. They have a shot. Chris Sale alone gives them a chance.
I should have mentioned San Diego, the Dodgers San Diego Padres battle. I forgot to disrespect San Diego. They made a lot of moves in the offseason. They should be good. The NL should be good. The AL, I mean, the Yankees seem to be like the front runners, but what other teams am I missing? Verlander's still out. Greinke is turning 37 at the front of their rotation. They lost Springer to the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays look like they could be in contention. Who else am I missing? Tampa Bay gave up Blake Snell.
Have they said the postseason structure is going back to traditional?
They are not. Yeah, it's MLB. The MLBPA denied the expansion of playoffs and universal DH. They said no to both of those.
I don't know why they keep delaying the universal DH. It's going to happen eventually.
I don't know. For me, universal DH isn't a big issue, but
nobody enjoys watching pitchers.
Yeah, exactly. It's a free out almost every time.
I love when Mad Bum hits a ding.
I was going to say I enjoy Madison Bumgarner hitting up there.
Yeah. Well, then he could hit anyway.
God, I could watch those dingers to the bleachers at AT&T Park off Kershaw all day. But yeah, it's a bummer as a Giants fan right now, though. Our biggest owner is more interested in donating to right-wing insurrectionists, promoting politicians, and spending on our team, unfortunately. But
I'm just happy that Trevor Bauer didn't end up on the Mets because I like Trevor Bauer and I hate
apparently the
Mets.
Mets offered him more money over the long term.
Yeah.
They did. Poor Bob
just not as front-loaded.
Nightingale.
But yeah, he wants to
Bob
win now.
Bob Nightingale reported that Trevor Bauer was signing to the Mets yesterday, and unfortunately,
somebody else said that
it almost seems like Bauer did it out of spite to flip the next day. He almost did it just to say screw the reports, but and he did a little bit of a LeBron. I've made my decision reveal. That was a little interesting.
If somebody was going to do that, it would be Trevor Bauer, because I still remember when he got taken out of the game and chucked the ball all the way over the center field wall. What a cannon that guy has. But if somebody was going to go back on their word, it would be him.
He's a character for sure.
So if the Dodgers do play the Yankees and they get to a Game 1 matchup, it would be a UCLA reunion. They had a little bit of beef that they said they squashed, but Garrett Cole versus Trevor Bauer. They don't speak, but Trevor says they're good.
Probably not.
I don't buy that. It's clear they.
So once we get to October, that's something to watch out for.
Were they here at the same time?
Yes, they're in the same rotation.
So then they definitely know each other well enough.
If they like each other, Game 1, Yankees versus Dodgers, you're locking the under because both of them are pitching 8 innings.
That's true.
Hammered.
Absolutely. That could set records for lowest over under in Vegas. But yeah, one thing, if you guys heard how the big change for Bauer this year was his spin rate went through the roof, and he actually been a vocal critic of people cheating, essentially, which the MLB just didn't crack down on because almost everyone does it. They use some sort of resin substance to get better grip on the baseball. And they have the advanced tracking ability to track that spin rate precisely. And his spin rate just went through the roof this year. And
so he probably started cheating like everybody.
So basically he started cheating like everyone else. And most likely, I mean, obviously there isn't evidence of it, but it's very, very likely. And it's interesting because I wish the league would police it better sometimes, because if you had a lower spin rate, you're going to get more hits. It's going to be more exciting games. However, I mean, he also is disadvantaging himself if he's not doing this. And it clearly was the difference in an all-star level season and a Cy Young level season for him. I don't know if you guys have heard anything about that.
I just can't remember anybody getting caught for a substance helping them with grip since the Yankees pitcher, Luis Severino, had that tar on his neck, and it tried to blend. It tried to blend in, but it was so dark that it was still obvious. And it was thick on his neck too. Yeah. It was like a mound right on the left side of his neck, and it was just like, ugh. That's the last I can remember.
Ben makes a good point though, because Trevor Bauer's played 7 seasons and has an ERA above 4.17 in 5 seasons. So
not good.
Obviously, he's done something to really fix his, whatever it is, whether it's cheating or not. He's managed.
Here's a tweet from 2018 from Trevor Bauer. My 2018 tweet. My fastball is about 2250 RPM on average. I know for a fact I can add at least 400 RPM to it by using pine tar. Look how much better I would be if I didn't have morals. And he basically shows the averages in his range. It's a 280 batting average. But for people who have 2300 RPM or more, it's a 253 batting average. And then 2018, obviously, it was at 2250. 2019, he was at 2400. 2020, he was at 2750. So his spin went through the roof. His pitches were much nastier. His off speed had more bite to it. And
he just developed.
And you really look at the videos of people getting caught cheating, they're rare. And they really only happen when it's so obvious, like that Luis Severino incident, and the opposing manager comes out. And sometimes the other team bickers at them because, we know you're cheating too. Why'd you call us out? So it's a thing that's not talked about that much. And I've seen a couple of YouTube videos on it. So recommend checking that out. But yeah, we'll see how Trevor Bauer does for sure. Former Bruin, but the Dodgers are a juggernaut, and it doesn't bode well for the rest of the competition in the NL, although the Cardinals and Padres are looking good as well. Another big transaction in the sports world was Matt Stafford heading from the Lions to the Rams. Jared Goff heads the other way, along with picks. And I mean, they definitely gave up a lot for him. What was it? It got no first round. I mean, they got 2 firsts and this year's third. And they're going to go
And Jared Goff.
7 or 8 straight years. Yeah, I mentioned Goff. 7 or 8 straight years with no first round picks. The Rams are going all in, win now. And with how much they are leveraging their future for their present, I think this deal does make sense. I think they overpaid maybe a tiny bit, but when you look at how much cap space they had to clear because of Goff, it probably makes sense. And they're just getting so much better value for money with a much more proven quarterback. And you look at what Stafford was doing with a revolving door at running back and really not great wide receivers since Calvin Johnson retired. He's had, a couple guys, Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay, better recently, but there was definitely a period of time where he had no one. So I think that this is, working with Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, I think it's going to be, the NFC West, if everyone stays healthy next year, is going to be really fun to watch.
Listen. Here's some interesting stats about Matthew Stafford that make him the most underrated quarterback in the NFL right now. In 166 games played, how many times do you think he has had a rusher for one of his running backs has gone for over 100 yards? 11 times in 166 games. That is absolute asinine. Here's some more. The Lions receivers led the NFL in drops since 2009. Now, look, I know Aguilar is probably getting the Eagles near that total, but it's not.
He's gone now.
Yeah, I know. So now maybe Oakland's getting up there. There's some other stats as well. He's really finished top 10 in passing yards 7 times, which is not easy considering the weapons he has around him. And he, I think there's one more I saw somewhere that he had the second highest passer rating under pressure of all quarterbacks. So this guy knows how to get it done with what he has. It's not really fair what he's been given so far, but now he has a real chance to shine on a good team. I'm telling you, the LA in general is going to be huge for sports next year. They just have so many great teams coming up right now.
Yeah, Stafford is criminally underrated, and the Rams kind of just needed a quarterback to be really good because their defense already is really good with Donald and Ramsey, and they have McVay who can still clearly call an offense. So to stick Stafford in as a replacement for Jared Goff, I think that's ridiculous.
I think the question is Stafford enough? The Rams are clearly going all in here. They're not going to have a first round pick till 2023. They haven't had a first round pick since 2016 when they took Jared Goff. And so the Rams they got to be all in. Is this a team that is a Super Bowl contender? And right now in the NFC, I could say they play in the championship game maybe. I got to see how Stafford fits in that offense, but from the eye test, I think it's a huge upgrade because I'm very, very low on Jared Goff. I think he's running one of the easiest offensive systems in the NFL. It's a lot of play action. It's a lot of split gaps, and split zones in which the run game is very important. So if you have a quarterback that's got the arm strength and you have the respect, it's going to open up the running game. With Jared Goff, it didn't seem to do that as much this year. So I think it's a big upgrade. I think it's enough to say that they are the NFC Championship contenders, but I'm not sure if I'm still ready to put them into that Bucks, even the Packers. I'm not ready to put them into they could beat those types of teams right now.
I think with the defense they have, if they can play as well as they did this year, I think you have to.
I agree with Dan.
Yeah,
I think
because honestly,
he's so wide open.
They're so inconsistent.
If Matt Stafford had been in Green Bay his entire career, he would have more rings than Aaron Rodgers.
No
way. Get out of here with that.
No.
Come on. Come on, dude.
Let's go.
Relax.
How about this one? If Aaron Rodgers had been in Detroit his whole career, he would have 0 rings.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's
I think you put anyone on those teams and they have 0 rings. Those teams have been awful for so long.
Pat
know, but-
Mahomes on the Lions would have 0 rings.
Yeah.
I think that when
Tom Brady would have 0
the
rings.
Rams are already an elite defense and, have plenty of weapons on offense. And bringing a competent quarterback who didn't go to Cal into their team is going to be good for, to compete and possibly beat the Packers, maybe even, Brady.
I don't know. I think that, you get another, you saw some good production of Cam Akers this year, another year for him, another year for Henderson to develop as well. And the running backs, if they can keep their running back room together, plus the weapons they have, I think that definitely it's a Super Bowl contender when you consider how wide open the NFC is. On the AFC side, I'm not as sure because the Chiefs and Bills are only trending up, and the Ravens and Steelers think are going to be right there as well. However, on the NFC side, it's just such a wide open field. You have the Niners returning from their injury season, the Saints unsure who their quarterback's going to be, the Packers
NFC East champion.
And that I guess depends how generous you want to be with your contender definition, but I definitely think they're in there, and it's definitely an interesting thing because a lot of people saying right after the trade that this puts the value for Deshaun Watson through the roof. However, I think a lot of people also don't realize how much the Rams had to give to get that Jared Goff cap space off their books because he was taking up a lot of cap, and I think they cleared like between I think 23 and 28 million for each in the next 4 years, and I think 7 to 12 million goes on the Lions books. So the Lions 7 to 12 stays on the Rams books. So the Rams I can't talk. The Rams are able to clear like 7 to 12 million a year, which is a huge relief for them, but they still have to cover some of Goff's salary for the next year or two. He also can opt out the Lions can move on from him and not have a cap hit after the first year of him being there. So I think the Lions will probably keep Goff in for one season as their starter, but it's definitely a rebuild time, transitionary period. But we'll see how he does because McVay had him playing as a prime game manager type a couple seasons ago, and since that's really gone downhill for him. So let's see if he can resurrect his career. And on the flip side, if McVay could do that with Goff,
what can it do with Stafford?
Stafford for sure. But yeah, it definitely drives the life for Watson through the roof. A lot of people on Niners Twitter were saying, would you give 2 firsts, Jimmy G and Bosa for Watson? That would be a crazy trade. But I think
that's so much.
But if you do the deal, if you put it into
that's 3 first-round picks at least.
If you put it into the Deal Rater website, it says that's a good deal for the Niners, though, because you can get another edge rusher. That's having Deshaun Watson gets you points.
Man, he is a bad quarterback, and if he wasn't stuck in Houston, there's a lot of potential there. So if he goes to the Niners who have a decent team,
I don't think it's going to happen.
If you say Bosa gets basically the same trade Khalil Mack was, how many first-round picks was that? 2 or 3?
2.
Khalil Mack.
2.
2. So he's 2 first-round picks, and you give 2 more. You're giving 4 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson? I don't know about that.
Well, it's 3 plus you're clearing Jimmy G's contract, but I don't know. I don't think that's realistic. The Niners also are rumored to be talking to the Vikings about Kirk Cousins, although that might not be a thing.
It's barely an upgrade over Jimmy G.
Cousins had a good second half of the season though. And I think that the fact that Jimmy just can't stay healthy is really why they're trying to look for alternatives. I wonder how he's feeling because he's definitely not getting the respect. At least he looks to have been getting, although Kittle was talking him up in an interview he had. So we'll see what happens on that front. Watson, does he get held hostage? Does he get the deal he wants to get out of there? We will find out. But moving on, talk about the Super Bowl. Super Bowl's 3:30 on the West Coast. Kickoff.
Boo.
It's going to be
later
on CBS with Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, which I'm looking forward to because they are so much better than the crews on Fox and NBC. It makes watching the game way better for me. I don't know. I'm not a fan of Chris Collinsworth, and Joe Buck is just so monotone sometimes. So I'm looking forward to Nantz and Romo on another level for me. I'm looking forward to that.
Do you miss Phil Simms at all?
I like Phil Simms.
No.
I liked it. He was funny.
Romo was great.
Yeah, Phil Simms was good. At least, can we all agree that the ESPN Monday Night Football guys are the absolute worst? So
That's true.
good.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah,
It'd be better if they let Barstool announce it than them.
Steve Levy was like a Sports Center anchor for most of his
I watch
career.
it on ESPN Deportes because I'd rather watch it.
That would be hype. Going wild. Like it's
I'd rather have like Barkley announce a football game.
That'd be awesome. He probably has no idea what's going on.
that would be good. So these teams, so the Bucks and Chiefs, they met week 12. KC took that one 27-24. Brady and Mahomes all time are 2-2. Brady won the first two. Mahomes has won the most recent two. The first three, though, of course, were Brady as a member of the Patriots. And those only 27 points is one of KC's lower scoring performances of the season. But the team that best defended the Chiefs this year, surprisingly, was the Falcons, who held them to only 17 points.
That feels really weird.
And that is a surprise.
I don't buy it. I just think that the Chiefs were really bored during the regular season and didn't have the focus or the drive to actually dominate games.
They still won the game 17-14, though, of course.
Yeah, but if you look at the game, the previous game against the Bills, they made a very disciplined and a very well coached and very good, probably still the second best team in the AFC, Bills. They made them look very pedestrian.
Yes,
It's true.
and I think that the way the Bucks played on offense against the Chiefs, where they kind of their drive stalled a lot in the second half, and Brady threw those 3 picks, that's not going to cut it. But
Those actually, a couple of those picks were on Mike Evans, though.
yeah, and one of them I think was as good as a punt. However,
Yeah, exactly.
still needs to be a little better. He was good enough in clutch time last week, but I think it's going to need a more complete performance from Brady. But
I think it will be.
What the Falcons
Brady.
did, though, in that game, I was reading Bill Barnwell's preview piece. They used a lot of sim pressure, which is basically when you drop guys off the defensive line into shallow zone and you rush guys from the second level, and 4 or 5 guys can create the sensation that it's like an actual blitz. Try to force them a couple times. They had defensive linemen get into the shallow zone and get interception attempts. One of them, Tuyoti Mariner, former UCLA Bruin, he dropped an easy interception. And that's how it kind of put Mahomes off a little bit, while also, not overcommitting on the blitz. So I think it's going to be very, very key. The Bucks pass rush this game is going to be.
I'm sure Todd Bowles is going to know that too.
I think it's going to be so important for Todd Bowles to change up the looks, vary the looks, not overcommit on the blitz, because of course one play can burn you when you have guys with Tyreek and Hardman's speed. So, but I think Todd Bowles is going to figure that out. I think the Bucks pass rush is going to be pretty good because they've been good, with
Shaquille Barrett's a beast.
Dominican Sue and Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaquille Barrett as edge rushers has been one of the best duos in the playoffs, which is something
They were scary last. They were scary last game against the Packers. They were breathing down Aaron Rodgers every single possession.
Yeah.
They
but I
have
think
stepped up to the playoff stage.
But if you're the Bucks, the question is, can you cover at least one of Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce? The Bills got burned because Patrick Mahomes basically had 2 wide open options on every pass play. He had Kelce open and he had Tyreek Hill open, and he just picked. He just picked on the defense because the defense couldn't stop either one, the Bills. They couldn't stop either. If you force Patrick Mahomes, if you can take away one of those options at least and force Patrick Mahomes to look at one guy, whether that be Hill or Kelce, at least you can get a sense of where he's going and have a better idea of how to defend it. But the Bills couldn't do any of that. So the question is the Bucks coverage going to be good enough to pass? And on the same question, if you guys watched the Chiefs play on defense, Tony Romo was talking a lot about sticky coverage by the Chiefs. It's the best coverage I've seen the Kansas City Chiefs play. Are they going to be able to play that in back-to-back weeks? Because I've never seen the Chiefs defense be
better receivers.
that effective. Exactly.
Well,
I want to see.
Look, first of all, I think, Kolo, to answer your first question, if the Chiefs have some injuries on their O-line, it will give the Bucks a better ability to not have to blitz, and then they will hopefully be able to double at least one of those receivers. Although I don't really know what the point of doubling Tyreek Hill is I feel like he's just too fast.
Gonna run by both of them.
I mean, he made a
Kelsey as well. He's too strong. But even more than that, I do think that the Chiefs are still gonna have this slight advantage because I saw something today that the Chiefs have averaged 33 or 34 points a game in the second time that they play a team for a season. That's like unusually high. And that, maybe it's because they're playing the Chargers and Raiders, but still. And also, I think it's 7-0 that Mahomes is when he is coming off a bye week. So he has plenty of time to prepare, and that should bode well for Andy Reid to at least figure out what types of pressure Bulls might bring.
Definitely think so. But yeah, and I mean, Tyreek went off in the last meeting, and their cornerback Carlton Davis took a lot of the blame, but he had a good season otherwise. So if he can bounce back in this game, that could definitely make a huge difference for the Bucs. And Antoine Winfield Jr. too, if he steps up, because he's had some injury.
He's playing, right?
I think he's going to be good to go. So if he can be a force, he's definitely a physical presence that could make a huge difference. So I think that that's kind of the keys on the defensive side of things, the pass rush, and can the Bucs contain the receivers of the Chiefs. However, between the quarterbacks, how do you guys think we could be going with a storyline after this game where Brady outduels Mahomes, or do you guys think if the Bucs win, it's still going to be Mahomes putting the slightly better performance together, but it's going to be other factors that get the Bucs over the edge?
It's unlikely for Brady to be better.
Hold on. I don't think that's fair. I think that there will certainly be multiple factors, but you're saying that it's not capable of the greatest of all time to have a better game.
I said unlikely, not impossible.
I would say, yeah, but unlikely. I think that, look, it would be surprising, but I wouldn't be shocked if Brady just decides to show up and have an absolute day on Sunday.
But the kind of day that Brady has is not the same kind of day that Mahomes has at this point.
At this point in their career, I'm with
Brady having a day is what, 250, 300, and 2 or 3 touchdowns. Mahomes can go for 400 and 4 touchdowns.
I'm just saying he could play better than Mahomes. He could have 303 TDs, and if Mahomes only has 200 yards because the Bucs managed to shut him down, then Brady has managed to outduel him. I think that could happen.
I think at this point for Tom Brady, especially with the talent he's got around, it's more of, are the receivers going to make Tom Brady look like he outplayed Patrick Mahomes? Patrick Mahomes makes Tyreek Hill, he makes Travis Kelce, he makes everybody around him better players. He makes them look great. We all say, wow, Tyreek Hill's so fast, but Patrick Mahomes is the one putting the ball in the spot for him. Same thing with Kelce. But at Tom Brady's age, it's more of, what can these receivers do for him? Can they go up and make that grab? Can they make that contested catch, or can they get open? Are these receivers going to make Tom Brady look great? Because if you look at his throws last week, they weren't phenomenal, but yet people said he threw 3 picks, but he still did a good job. I think it comes down to, how are these receivers going to show up next week? Because last week, Mike Evans had a crucial drop, a tipped pass that turned into a pick, and he didn't turn around on Tom Brady's last interception. If Mike Evans was to turn that around, he'd make Tom Brady's perception look a whole lot different coming into this game, and I think that's going to happen on Sunday.
I have no faith in Mike Evans to play well in the Super Bowl.
Hey, Galveston ball, baby.
Who do we think has the best game out of Bucs receivers?
AB.
I got Godwin.
No, it's got to be Godwin.
But yeah, I
hope it's AB.
Are you guys believing in the hype of playoff Fournette?
Yes, dude.
Yes,
the Chiefs' run defense sucks too. Fournette's going over 100.
That's bold. I'm
That's
saying
a little bold. I could see it.
I could see him going for. I think he's going for 80.
He's going to get a touchdown. He's a very dense.
He's easily
man.
getting a touchdown. Yeah,
He's a very powerful man.
How is Ronald Jones' health looking like? Is he going to be? What's his restrictions going to be? That's the question.
I don't know.
How they mix
Doesn't
it.
matter. He went to a terrible university.
True.
We can agree on that, and we'll talk about them, albeit in a different sport soon. Yeah, another storyline though for me that I'm kind of interested in is, I think officiating could be a big storyline because how tight the refs are on holding pass interference and illegal contact. If the Bucks can get away with some contact on the Chiefs receivers, that could be huge for them. It could work both ways, obviously, but I think the Bucks might feel the need to do that kind of stuff more.
Slow them down.
They got away with it last week. The officials were calling
anything.
nothing until the late fourth quarter in that Packers-Bucks game.
Exactly. So if they can get away with that again, that would definitely be big for them. I also think strategically there's going to be a few times where you need to take the PI to prevent Tyreek from beating you deep. And those kind of decisions, albeit potentially big penalties, could save touchdowns. So it's good that I think that the Bucs are going to need a couple things like that, a couple split-second decisions, a couple things like that to go their way to have a chance for sure. But yeah, do you guys have any, I guess, couple of keys for you, and what's your prediction? Let's go around. What do you guys have?
I go first. Key for the Bucks is Mike Evans, whether he can actually play like his peak performance, which he easily gets 100 and a touchdown, or he plays like he does sometimes, where he'll have 2 catches for 15 yards and have the corner get inside his head. And then for the Chiefs, I'm gonna go with L'Jarius Sneed, partially because I like his name and he's playing fantastic. But I think if he can get another sack and play well on whichever receiver he covers, that'll be huge. But Chiefs 34, Bucks 31. My prediction.
Look, mine is a little bit more boring, but I think that the only key is how motivated Tom Brady is for this game. And if he's motivated and he's up for it, it doesn't
obviously motivated.
No. There's different levels of motivation. If he's like, he could think maybe I have 6, whatever. But I think he's going to be like, I really
Did you
want
see that report that came out earlier this week? He almost wore number 7 on the Bucks just because he wants a 7th ring.
Look at this. I think he's going to be super up for this game, and he's going to outplay Mahomes. The team with the worst record going into the Super Bowl has won 10 of the last 12. Bucks,
that's weird.
Bucks 28, Chiefs 24. Low scoring.
The interesting stat.
I think the key to this game is the team that has better coverage in the secondary. I think we've been hitting on it all day, and I think that's the most important thing. I think the Chiefs' offensive line being a little banged up almost favors the Bucks, and it does favor the Bucks. But based off what I saw in the previous game, going off my eye test, I don't think there's anybody beating this Chiefs team. The Chiefs team that showed up last game against the Bills, nobody's touching that team. I got the Chiefs 28, Bucks 21.
Yeah, I definitely feel what both Jake and Kolo said. My heart kind of says there's something special about. Well, I guess you two.
I'm kidding.
I got you on the prediction, Dan. I agree with you more. But what Kolo and Dan said is, my head says no one's touching this Chiefs team. However, something in my heart says that something special about Brady, that Brady magic could happen.
That's
However, the team I've been watching feels like they just win when they want to win. So that's why I got the Chiefs winning this game, 34-24. For me, the keys, like Kolo said, is definitely in the secondary, who can match up better. But I think that's my second biggest key. The biggest key for me is the pass rush, because Brady actually has had his QBR has been 30th in the league when facing the blitz this season, and it's been 6th in the league when not facing the blitz. So if he can play well under pressure, that could be the difference. But if the Chiefs are getting to him, I think it's going to be a long day for the Bucs. However, on the other side of the ball, the Bucs need to get pressure. Like I said, with those sim packages, with changing the looks from Todd Bowles to have a shot. I think the Bucs need the pressure to have a shot, whereas the Chiefs, it's more of a nice to have. But I think the pass rush is going to be a big key in this one. And like I said, I got the Chiefs 34-24. However, if Brady makes 3 out of the 4 of us wrong,
I'm hoping for some Brady.
I won't be
I
that
want the Bucs to
surprised,
win.
but I will be in awe because that would be quite the achievement.
There's only one quarterback that has magic attached to his name, and it's not Tom Brady.
Fitz.
I'll leave it at that.
All right. We are looking forward to it. All right. Before we wrap up, let's talk some UCLA basketball. The Bruins are 13-3, and they faced 7 o'clock tip on ESPN. We got Pash and Walton. I assume they are at least. Kolo,
Yeah, it's been announced. They're calling it.
Not surprising at all, as they always have the best Pac-12 game on ESPN. Will be fun to hear the banter. But we got the
Do
night
they
game.
actually hate each other? I can't tell.
No, they definitely don't, but they definitely.
No, they don't.
They don't, but like it's part of their shtick.
Pash would not be. He has plenty of say who he goes with, so he must love Bill. Otherwise, it wouldn't work.
Makes fun of him half the time.
Yeah, Bill Walton it wasn't even for anybody's birthday, but he ate another candle on fire last week.
He's just something else. Anyway, but yeah, and USC is 14-3, and the reality is that USC is playing good basketball right now, but their resume also isn't that good. Like, there's a reason we're ranked and they're not, is they don't have a huge win yet on that resume. They lost, apart from their loss to Oregon State, that was a blip on the radar. They have been playing very good basketball though in the past month. So yeah, it's going to be UCLA's toughest test since the Ohio State game, I guess.
I'm sorry, Ben, but who exactly is our big win? I mean, yes.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Marquette?
We did beat
USC lost to Colorado. We beat Colorado. And
USC
we both
also
beat
lost.
Arizona.
USC also lost to Oregon State
and UConn. And we have what Marquette and UConn are similar level teams, right? You'd say?
No,
UConn's a little better.
Marquette's kind of fallen off. They're 9-9 last I saw.
Yeah, UConn went to Marquette, went to Wisconsin, and won by 11 without James Bouknight. So they're legit. But again, the Big East is the best conference in basketball. What I was going to say,
that is horrible.
They're like fifth. They're the
maybe not this year, but last year. Anyway, UCLA actually beat the University of San Diego by more than Gonzaga. So that does give me hope, because if we're better than Gonzaga, then we definitely have a good shot versus USC. You know, Kolo was saying something good before, before the show, that they match up well against us. It's going to be difficult to cover Mobley, and can Cody score? Sometimes he struggles against dense guys, such as in Ohio State. He struggled a little bit, but that's really what I think.
Stanford. The length of Stanford too.
Yeah, Stanford as well. Yeah.
They had a lot of length that made it difficult for us to even get the post-entry passes to Jalen and Cody. So that's definitely going to be big. But yeah, how we defend Evan Mobley is going to be really a key for us, because we've struggled against really athletic big guys. So that's going to be a big thing for sure. But I also think another thing I'm looking at is, can Jaime kind of become a little bit more of a scorer? We've been relying more on Tiger to create. Jules was creating a lot of shots for himself a few weeks ago, but hasn't been doing it a lot recently. So it feels like a lot of these games we've been having have been close, because we're not getting, off-ball players stepping up and creating their own shot when they catch the ball in stride. So I'm hoping Jaime can step up and be that guy. Also, we just need to get the shooters going, because it feels like every game, either Singleton or Juzang or Kyman gets going, but they don't get enough shots. So we need to get shots to whoever is hot. Honestly.
No, Juzang definitely gets enough shots. If anybody is shooting too much in college basketball, it's Johnny Juzang. He thinks he's like Kevin Durant or something. No, he's worse than Chris Wilkes. Chris Wilkes led UCLA in the worst shot selection I've ever seen, and Juzang is like, hold my beer. He had one great half against Stanford, and it was a great half. And then he's done. He's gone back down to earth. But it's unfair for David Singleton and Jake Kyman for the amount of looks that Johnny Juzang is taking. In fact, I think Johnny Juzang is a better shot creator, as in he penetrates the paint better than anybody else not named Tiger Campbell. And if he did that more, that would open up Kyman, David Singleton, even Hawkes on the three-point line. And I think that's more beneficial than Johnny Juzang catching the ball every time on the perimeter and shooting.
Kolo, I agree with some of what you're saying. Juzang shoots 35% from three, which is not good considering how.
Yeah, but that's inflated because of his one half where he was like 5 of 7.
But give me a second, because Jake Kyman, who you think is this elite shooter,
Is shooting 33% from three. It was at, okay. And if you look at averages, it was at 20% 2 weeks ago. He's heating up.
Okay, he's heating up, but who is shooting insane? First of all, Jaquez has a quiet 40% from three. He was not good to start the season. His three-point shooting has improved a lot. And
no, his shooting's actually gone down. He was shooting 47% from three.
He was at 47.
And ignore that. But somebody who's been consistent all season is
Singleton.
David Singleton, who should be getting way more minutes than he gets.
I agree.
There was somebody who said, one of the commentators said, if you're shooting 50% from three, you're not shooting enough.
And I agree.
Is the same thing. He is not getting enough shots.
It was Casey Jacobson.
Up looks for him specifically, because every time he comes into the game when we need a three, he's there and he shoots, and he can shoot from anywhere on the floor. He can shoot.
No, he can't. He cannot shoot from anywhere that's not a three. He cannot shoot inside the
three. Anywhere from three.
Oh, anywhere from three. Okay.
Nowhere inside the key, yes, but
exactly.
Any point area on the floor. He can shoot, honestly, if he was taking it from like half court, I think I'd still trust him at this point. But he's not anywhere on the floor. That's not what I meant. I meant anywhere from the 3-point land.
Okay.
He can shoot from the corner. He can shoot from, pretty long range from straight on. And he changes games when he comes in, gives good effort. Not always, but most of the time. And he should definitely get more minutes. If Mick is listening, please give David more minutes this weekend. We need him.
Definitely one of our.
One thing I want to ask you guys is, we talk about stopping the Mobley brothers. Evan is 7 foot tall. He's a lot lankier. He almost looks like a Kevin Durant, even though I won't make that comparison. Isaiah Mobley is a little shorter. I think he's about 6'10". He's a little more dense. I personally think that Isaiah Mobley matchup favors Cody Riley pretty well, and that he can't do anything against Evan Mobley, the taller, lankier one. I think that is someone that Jalen Hill can guard very well. Do you guys – Mick Cronin has yet to do it this season, but is Saturday the day he finally experiments with a Cody Riley, Jalen Hill lineup? Or does he have enough faith in Jaime Jaquez to guard Evan Mobley?
We can't –
or Isaiah.
This is where we need Chris Smith.
Okay,
yeah.
Chris Smith,
we really miss him.
But listen. There is no way we can play with both of them, because Tiger's biggest strength is his ability to get into into that little key and then open shots when he drives. That doesn't work when there's two players in. There was so many issues last year when there was nothing available, and then Tiger would turn the ball over because there's three guys who are all twice his size going over him, and he had no idea what to do. And Mick yelled at him for that, but I think Mick finally realized it was his fault, because there was a game last year after this happened that we never saw those two big guys again. It doesn't work for us because of our strategy on how to score.
It's a very good point.
I think so, but I think if you look at I don't know. There's been obviously with the Oregon games being canceled, we had a lot of downtime to prepare for this matchup, and I think that you could maybe make a high-low work with Jalen at the top trying to feed Cody, because if you get Cody the ball in a good place, he's like one step away from a hook shot, and his posters are very smooth. However, it's going to be tough with the length of the Mobley brothers to get that shot off. So I think we could make it work, but it takes a lot of commitment to practicing it, which we do have the time, and two, it takes some faith in Kenny Nwuba in case we hit foul trouble, because that's the problem is when you only have two big men that you trust, fouls are so important. However, the other side of things is that if Jaime is having to guard Evan Mobley, then he's risking foul trouble. And this is where we really miss Chris Smith, because his length and the ability to have another, guy who could guard an athletic tall guy would be huge. So it's just like kind of like you're trying to pick the least bad of all bad options, honestly.
I think Jalen Hill matches up with Evan Mobley pretty well. I have yet to see a big man, a true five in college basketball. I sent this to Jake earlier in the week. I have yet to see a big man move his feet more effectively on the perimeter than Jalen Hill. I think he's a phenomenal athlete when it comes to defense. I think last week was horrible for him in the sense that he picked up a lot of cruddy fouls. And we can't afford to have that this week, because we need him more than anything tomorrow. But I think this game is going to be huge for Jalen Hill, and he's going to dictate the tempo of the defense, and he's also a huge rebounding presence. He has a really high offensive rebounding rate. He doesn't touch the ball down a lot down low, but he cleans up offensive rebounds and he rebounds and he plays really good defense. We need him to show up. He didn't show up against Oregon State, and I think that's why that game was a lot closer than it should have been. We're going to need him big time come tomorrow.
He's such a different player than Cody because, as Kolo says, the way he moves his feet is just so it's NBA caliber defense.
It is
for a big guy, and that's really going to be important when you're playing against NBA caliber players this weekend in the Mobley brothers. So I think that Mick has had a very short leash for Jalen this year. He's made one or two mistakes. He's getting taken right out for Cody because Cody has been talented scoring-wise. But this is the type of game where if Cody's getting shut down and we need to trust in our outside shooting a little more, that Jalen's defense is going to come in big time. And that's why, as Kolo says, he needs to stay out of foul trouble and really, focus on keeping his feet set and moving the way that he, did last year. He was super successful last year.
I think that's a good point about Jalen's ability to move his feet. I really haven't thought about that, but he is a really athletic big, so he's definitely going to be a huge key for us. And keeping those two out of foul trouble, I think, is the difference between a win and loss here. Because if one of them picks up 3 fouls in the first half, it's going to be, or both of them have 2 fouls early on, it's going to be an uphill battle.
The good news is UCLA fouls the least amount in the Pac-12. We are leaders in the least amount of fouls per game.
And
it's nice to see because
the line the most out of any player in the Pac-12.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, who gets the line the most?
Cody Riley has the most free throws in the Pac-12 this season.
And he's getting them at a much better rate than he was last year.
What's he at?
70%, I think.
He's just a hair under 70. Yeah.
Good.
But he was at like 45% until
he went to the gym and worked on his free throws every day last year, and you can see the improvement for sure.
Mick Cronin has said this year nobody has practiced better throughout the entire season than Cody Riley, and that's why he's got so much faith in him down the stretch.
And I mean, his post moves are so polished. Like, I really think that he's got the ingredients of being an NBA prospect, except he's small. Like, if he was bigger and had that smooth post moves, I think he'd be a real prospect. But he's just not very tall.
Like 6'9", 6'10".
He's listed at 6'9".
He's listed at 6'9". I've walked many times. I've seen him many times at Chevron. He's a big Chevron guy. Many times if I've seen him at Chevron late in the night, and he doesn't appear. He would be lucky if he was 6'8". With normal shoes.
Chevron, I don't know, maybe he's a big duffel guy now. Who knows?
I don't know. If Steve Aoki's still patrolling Chevron, it's always worth a trip.
Yeah, but when I walk by both Jalen and Cody, I go, damn, Jalen is huge. But when I walk by Cody, I'm like, he's only like 3 inches taller than me. Like he's 6'7" to 6'8" for me. So
are we suggesting Ben Hunter tries out for Kenny Nwuba's spot?
Yes. Give me another life, maybe grow a little more. Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. You guys got predictions for this one?
I'm not predicting.
Win.
I think that's jinx, and I don't want to do anything except watch a game tomorrow and be satisfied afterwards. I'm not putting anything on it. Nothing like that. You guys
73-67 win.
I think this game's going to be really tight. I think it's going to come down to the last 2 minutes. If everybody remembers last year, UCLA lost 54-52 on a heartbreaking buzzer beater by Jonah Matthews. Bill Walton is going to immediately say that he wants overtime, and I could see that happening. I could see this game going into overtime. We're not as good at the Galen Center historically than we are at home. In fact, we haven't lost at home in over a calendar year.
Is it since Pop?
No, it's in Stanford. But I've got faith in the Bruins. They had extra rest this week, and Jaime and Tiger need it just about more than anybody in the conference. So I think we pull it. I think I don't know what the spread is for the game, but I say this is probably – I think it's a low-scoring game, actually. I think this is a like a 62-60 type of game right here. And I think UCLA can pull it out.
I'm hoping you're
USC
right.
is 2.5 point favorites, which is not. I mean, that's kind of expected considering that it's in the Galen Center.
ESPN's BPI says 62% chance for USC. I don't think, considering it's in the Galen Center, that's a bad take. I don't know. My head says it's going to be a close game where USC wins by a couple possessions at the end. However, I think that this is a very telling performance.
Yeah.
This is a very telling performance where if we can pull this out and with a great performance, that gives me the faith that this team could do something in March. Because obviously we like what this team is doing, but for me, it's just the ceiling is a little low with Chris Smith gone. However, I think that I can't pick against us. I think it will be low scoring though. I think we're going to need to slow it down and also play at multiple paces, perhaps go fast if we have the right matches on the court a few times. However, especially if we go two bigs ever to try to stop the Mobleys, I think we're going to need to play more of a half court set. So I think that we can pull this one off. I think I'm going with a buzzer beater win. I'm going to say Hawkes hits the game winner 65-64.
Hawkes is clutch. I can see it.
All right.
We got an exciting game tomorrow, fellas. Let me tell you.
It'll be
we're all going to be tuned in, and we're all going to be
exciting college basketball tomorrow. What's on of course, Baylor took down Texas this week in a big win. They had a control throughout, really impressive performance. Baylor is building their resume more and more for sure.
Nothing too exciting. Kansas has a chance to redeem themselves against West Virginia.
Alabama against Missouri. If Alabama can get a big win there, that could really cement them as a.
Wisconsin, Illinois tomorrow, or is that Sunday?
That's tomorrow.
Is Illinois still good?
They're ranked 12, yet I feel like they always like beat teams they should beat, but lose teams that are ranked. I don't know. It's very interesting to how like the Pac-12 is just so much worse this year, and you have these like 5 or 6 loss Big 10 and Big 12 teams that are ranked in the top 15.
I'm confident of you that we would beat those teams, though.
I'm not. That's my point.
Depends on the matchup. Yeah. It depends on the matchup. I think there are matchups we could win.
But yeah, I mean, Tennessee, Kentucky. Usually that would be an exciting game.
Yeah, not this year.
Kentucky stinks.
Tennessee only favored by 4 though. But yeah, we have the nightcap on ESPN.
Hammered. I know. Jake. Something just popped into Jake's head on that one.
I heard before. I have never seen a team that gets more favored considering how bad they are than Kentucky. Every single game that I bet against that I've won. I don't really understand why Vegas loves them so much. And you know what? If I had to guess, it's because they have their crazy fans down in Kentucky who are betting on them every game regardless and have lost thousands of dollars this year. But, since they probably have limited fans, they can't go to the games, so they for it anyway.
I might not be wrong.
It's crazy. 4 points versus Tennessee, who's one of the top 3 teams in the SEC, is really just doesn't make sense to me.
Do we see any upsets this week? Because we've already seen this week Villanova lose to St. John's, and that was a number 3 team.
We've also Oklahoma State. Give you Oklahoma State over Texas.
I could see that. We also saw University of Houston lose to East Carolina. There's some upsets. There's some upsets in the making this week, and Ben, I think Ben pinpointed a good one. This Texas team just all came back from COVID, and they played a really good half against Baylor, and then the second half Baylor just stomped them. Cade Cunningham's pretty legit, so yeah, that's a matchup I'd pay a close attention to. Not named UCLA.
Oh, you know what I thought was funny? I got an alert on my phone yesterday. It was like upset alert. Gonzaga's down 1 at halftime against Pacific. I'm like, they're going to win this game by 30 points.
No, they were losing by 4 at some point in the second half. It might have been like 3 minutes in, but I saw that.
I don't know. I was like, yeah, this is not real. They're not losing to Pacific.
Yeah, they won by 18.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's that. I don't see a lot of upsets tomorrow. Although, did you guys know that Drake is undefeated?
Yes.
Yeah, and they were 19-0
Where the hell
against
is
the
Drake?
and then they played Southwest Missouri State and lost or lost the spread for their first game that they lost all year. And it was only a 4.5-point spread. It may not be Southwest Missouri State. It was some place that you wouldn't know was a D1 college unless somebody told you.
I didn't know Drake was a D1 college until you just told me
I
that.
think they're like 7th or 8th in the net, which is really crazy. UCLA is 40th or like
The
30th.
net is horrible this year. It's not close.
And don't sleep on Loyola Chicago in that conference either. 15-3, 10-1 in conference. So, Missouri
Isn't
Valley
that like
Conference.
the Missouri Valley? How are they in the
Yeah.
Missouri
I mean,
Valley?
that's where Wichita was before they switched over to the Americans.
Americans.
So that conference I feel like produces a Cinderella from time to time. Well, anyway, that'll do it for us.
Drake
Looking forward to the
University.
Super Bowl, and we're looking forward to UCLA. Go Bruins. I know we're
Go
all rooting for a
Bruins.
good game in the Super Bowl for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. We hope you enjoy the Super Bowl too, and we'll see you next week.